Hey guys, Sandy here. And a few months ago, I actually did a video on 5 questions that you need to ask yourself as a band or a solo performer to find out if you're good enough to start doing paid shows, okay, as a musical act, okay? Now, the video was fairly popular and it did get a fair bit of feedback from it. And to be clear, what I meant was like more like cover bands, that sort of thing. But I mean, I think a lot of it does apply to if you are, more of an original band as well. But I got a lot of feedback, so I figured I'd do a follow up video. So, with that said, here are 5 more questions you need to ask yourself to determine if you are ready for paid live shows. First off, can you put together a stage show? And notice I said show, okay? It is important to actually consider that aspect of this. It's one thing to have great songs. It's one thing to be able to play them great. But being able to put together a show, a spectacle, is a whole other conversation. Now, your show could vary, all right? It'll depend a lot on what we're going to talk about in a second, but it'll depend on what kind of band you actually are, all right? So personally, when I do live shows, my show aspect of it is I treat it as ideally that I'm there as, you're all hanging out with me. We're in my living room and we're all, I'm joking around, I'm playing songs, okay? Other places, maybe your band, you want to be a spectacle, all right? And that's cool, okay? But you need to actually think about, can you put together a show part of it? Now that kind of leads into my next point, okay? Who are you? What are you? You need to answer that question and approach the appropriate venues. Okay, so to give a personal example here, all right, I realized after a little bit that my style of music, frankly, I appeal more to, frankly, people who are a little bit older. Okay, so my general audience is actually between the ages of roughly 35 to right around 60, 65. Okay. Younger folks don't really come out to my shows, which is fine. Okay. But with that said, okay, you need to actually know who your audience is and market yourself as such. So the next question you need to answer is, who are you and who are you for? Now, this also concerns like what kind of genre of music that you're playing. Okay. If you're a country act, you're not going to go to a punk bar. Okay. Makes sense. All right. And if you ever do that, you're really just asking for trouble. Okay, so that's another question that you have to answer. Who are you and who are you for? I guess it's a twofer, but there we go. Now, number 3, and this is mostly if you're playing in a group, okay? Have you determined the band finances? Now, personally, I never really had to worry about this too much because, I was a solo performer. But, at the end of the day, at the end of the gig, someone's going to hand you money and you've got to figure out who's getting paid what, who drove there. This all is going to come into play. And before you start booking shows, before you start marketing yourself that way, you want to actually have those roles and how things are going to get split. You need to have that ironed out completely. Otherwise, your band not going to last too long. Now, number 4, can you handle criticism and can you handle trolling? So here's the deal. You're never going to make everybody happy. All right. You're always going to have some jerk at the show who's going to yell Freebird. Okay. There's always going to be some heckler. There's always some, frankly, a jackass in the audience. Okay. And you need to know how to handle that. And this is especially relevant if you're going to be performing live. But just generally speaking, if you're putting your music out into the world, you need to take criticism. Okay. Doing this YouTube stuff, I've had so many negative comments. I've had a lot of positive, and the vast majority have been positive. But of course, I run into jackasses on here. Okay. So it really doesn't bother me, just for the record. And if anyone ever does leave a bad comment, I truly don't care. All right. But you need to develop that thick skin because it's not all going to be compliments. It's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows. You're going to deal with some annoying, frankly, terrible people. And if you can't handle that criticism, if you fly off the handle, you can't deal with it, this is not the place for you. And the final question you need to consider, Can you handle when things go wrong? Look, you can prepare the best you like. At some point, something is going to go screwy, whether it's broken equipment, whether it's just no one coming out to the show. It's a reality of this, okay? And sometimes it's completely not your fault, okay? I remember I had one gig and literally there were like two people who came out to the show. It turned out that they had booked this gig. It was actually like I had booked it a few months in advance. And it turned out that that very night was like the make or break game for, I think it was the Detroit Lions. I'm not a sports guy. Sorry, guys. Okay, but I think it was the Detroit Lions. It was like a make or break game for them, and if they won, they were going to be going into the finals, playoffs, whatever it was. Again, not a sports guy, okay? But I mean, how the hell was I going to compete with that, right? And sure enough, I mean, the same bar, like they had people, they had takeout orders like the entire night, but no one was actually sitting there wanting to listen to music. They all wanted to watch the game, okay? So like it was a terrible night. Okay, I mean the show was crap. Okay, but again, wasn't my fault, and the bar owners were actually pretty cool about it. All right, but you need to know how to roll with the punches when things go badly. Okay, equipment malfunctions, bad audiences, low attendance numbers, sometimes even just people getting sick. All of this stuff happens, and you need to know how you're going to deal with it. Anyway, guys, this one was fun. I was actually quite surprised by the attention that the last video received, which I've left the link to it in the comments if you want to check out the original. And again, let me know if anything I've missed. This list was made almost entirely from audience suggestions, so I'd love to hear from you if there's other things that you need to consider before you start playing live. Okay. Now, I also want to address something that did come up in a lot of the comments. All right. I am a firm believer that musicians deserve to be paid. Okay. Some people, I think, kind of got the wrong impression about that. All right. I firmly believe that. Okay. My view of it is if the venue is making money, I'm making money. And I've always felt that way. Okay, these videos are more or less just if you're going to do this to a professional level, well, then your skills need to be to a professional level. All right. There is a difference between a person who is just practicing. They may be a great musician, but not all great musicians make good professionals. That's the truth. And that's sort of what I've been trying to address in this video and the last one. Okay, so again, I do firmly believe that musicians deserve to be paid. Okay. But I also think that if you're going to get paid, you need to be to a certain level. All right. Anyway, this is Sandy from Sandy's Guitars. I hope you've enjoyed this video. And again, if you have any other suggestions, please leave it in the comments. If you've been gigging for a while, let the new guys know. Okay. Some of your experiences, what they should be prepared for. Hit that subscribe button. I am trying to build this thing up. And yeah. Keep practicing. You're getting there. Sandy's Guitars. Take care.